Okay, so I don't really have, like, plot points. I'm just going to name the 4 kind of overarching things that we talked about in this episode, and then we can talk about them in more detail. So, the big things were the gunpowder, Chichester and the ship, and the EIC, and kind of that was some of the, like, I think that was more building plot. Not a lot happened, but there was some discussion of that. Zilpha and her husband, and then James and his mother. And those kind of seem to be the gunpowder was the big driving force of this entire episode.
So it was the explosive force.
So we can start with the gunpowder and then talk about the other things?
Yeah, so let's start with the gunpowder. Gunpowder seems pretty straightforward.
But it was the majority of the episode was the gun. So, like, they switched to the new type. They hired all the people who have to constantly stir it. Yeah. So it's all about stirring and stabilizing. Yes. And then they have to move it. And then they get ransacked.
Now, what was the reason for the additive? Was to make it stronger?
No, to make it faster.
Make it faster.
Oh, make it faster.
Yeah,
which we are
they could do it stably in like 4 weeks, but the Americans wanted it in like 2 weeks or 8 days. Yeah,
8 days.
Typical Americans, they want it fast and cheap. But we are assuming that even though his ship blew up, we are assuming that all of the gunpowder is still safe. Yes. Or did they already? So did they already send that away?
I mean, I don't know.
They never really said what they did with it.
It didn't look like where he was hanging out with all the gunpowder was on a ship. It looked like it was in a building.
Well, was that because he went somewhere after the was it after the ship blew up and he split that dude's throat? Yeah. And then there was a short scene of him sitting somewhere afterwards.
Yeah, so I think that was after he had sex with his sister.
That was after he had sex with his sister.
And he was sitting there striking the flint.
Some murderous sex.
It wasn't really murderous.
No, because he had flashes of his mother murdering him.
True. Yes, okay, there you go. I guess so.
Yeah, so then, I mean, this is a lot about the gunpowder, I guess. But it was just mainly them moving it. It was a fight with him and Chumley.
But that was the main tension. That was a ticking clock that kept us going in this
throughout the episode. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I don't know if they. I'm assuming the Americans got their gunpowder, and I'm assuming the rest of the gunpowder made it to some different location.
Because I thought they delivered the coffin. I thought they were done with that gunpowder.
They did. They were. Yeah.
And
so
that was the American gunpowder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they still had all of the unstable gunpowder that they hadn't delivered yet. That's what they took away in the boats on the river.
Yeah.
So hopefully that wasn't the gunpowder. Hopefully
that didn't go to the ship. Yeah.
I think it went to a storage facility.
Yeah.
I sincerely...
It still wasn't finished drying.
I think, too, that had the gunpowder been on the ship, it would have been a 10 times bigger explosion than what actually
I think the explosion was East India blowing it up.
I don't think it was gunpowder. There was any gunpowder on that ship.
Because I also don't think that the East India Company would waste.
But here's my question. Here's a question. You can
use other things to blow stuff up. Yeah.
Is it legal for a company to blow up a ship in a harbor? Like, is that a legal thing you can do? Like,
it's not super.
Well,
I don't think there's a law
it's taboo
against it. I don't think there is. It's written down anywhere that you can or cannot do that.
I mean, I feel like that's.
I think probably like 20 minutes after this happened, they're like, "Shit, we should make that law," but maybe don't blow up boats.
They're probably like, "Oh, I don't know. It was some peasants. Some peasants did it.
How did the company get away with it? Is it just?
Well, how do you prove it was the company?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We all saw them.
No, we didn't see them do it.
We saw that.
They're very powerful people. They could easily say, "Oh no, peasants went on there and did it."
Watching television, so the guy say,
"Who are you gonna call now about the company blowing up that boat?"
That little squirrely guy was like going in his little carriage, like that was.
But we saw that.
This is war. Yeah. He didn't light a fuse.
That's the equivalent of anybody being like, "Watch your ass," and then walking away. Like, you can't be like, "This dude told me to watch my ass, arrest him." Yeah.
You need to call Thoit. That's all I gotta say.
So the gunpowder is a big thing. And I think there was more plot going on with the East India Company than we caught, maybe, with the whole Chichester, and he was talking about how he named all of the chess pieces and we need to start playing.
Yes.
But I didn't really get what that was about.
Well, Rachel actually has a question. Why do you think I don't know how to pronounce it.
Chichester?
Yeah. Why did he go see James, and why do you think his name was on the manifest as one of the crew on the ship that sunk?
Chichester was?
Or
James
do you
was?
think James's name was on the manifest as one?
Well, we know that he was on a boat that sank, and we know about a boat that sank. We just don't know that they're the same boat.
I
I don't
know why we're talking about that boat if it's not the boat that he was part of the crew.
Yeah, I don't.
He nailed the slaves. Unless there were two boats that nailed the slaves in and then sank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we're assuming that Tom Hardy, James, was on the influence.
Yes.
And do we think that the influence and the Cornwallis are the same thing? Right?
That's what they were saying.
Yeah.
It was the Cornwallis, and then they changed the name.
Yeah. And they
So
said
that,
it was empty.
because
and
the
it had a
influence
skeleton
wasn't
crew.
a company ship.
Yeah. And Chichester seemed to be kind of saying, like, it crashed because they only, even though it was a full boat, it only had a skeleton crew. Like, it only had the bare minimum. And that's why it went aground.
That's just what the manifest said.
Yeah.
Well, it was a skeleton crew, but it was an overladen boat.
Yeah.
No, I know, and he said that they said it was empty, which is why they only had a skeleton crew, and that's when it went. That's why it went aground.
At least that's what he made it sound like that. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the manifest said it was empty. It wasn't an empty boat.
No, I know. Yeah. Okay.
2 more points down.
So yeah, I don't know why he went to go talk to James, Rachel. I really don't.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe he was probably just the guy going, I know you were on the boat, and that's probably it. It may be just like a stab at making his guilty conscience feel even worse about the situation.
But I mean, like,
Who's guilty conscience?
James.
I guess, but
nailing in the slaves.
I mean, Chichester.
Well, he wouldn't know that
be...
he did that. James was the only survivor, as far as we can tell.
As far as we can tell, but maybe the reason why he went to go talk to him is for him to know, I know that you were on it. Not necessarily that I know you nailed in the slaves.
Or he wanted to get him to tell the story.
Yeah.
That's also true.
Because also, like, I'm not sure what Chichester is doing. Like, what, he's kind of, like, going around to everybody.
He's kind of just out in his own little story today.
Yeah.
But I don't know what he's doing. I don't know whose side he's on. But
he wants justice for the people who died.
I think he's on his own side.
That makes sense.
I don't think he's part of this whole storyline.
Oh, the EIC.
He's a player, but I don't think he's part of it.
Yeah.
I think he's just like a wrench in the cause.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Hope I answered your question.
Zilpha and her husband is the next one that I have.
Oh, that whole relationship.
I'm so glad he's gone.
So glad.
Unless he comes back as a zombie.
Really? No.
Is that this kind of...
It's possible.
Could be. We don't know what this show is about.
That's true.
It's possible.
Well, Delaney allegedly died before.
That's true.
Yeah.
But
Well, they just thought he died.
Devil and
Maybe his soul died. We don't know.
No idea.
But essentially, like, Zilpha and her husband had a weird encounter with Lorna because she went to the house and Zilpha seemed to, like, she pretended to be on the side of the husband in that encounter.
But why did Lorna go there in the first place?
yeah, what was the purpose of that
Because she
scene
didn't know
if they
where
were
James
just
was. She was looking for James.
James,
Because she hadn't seen him in like 3 days.
He'd been-
Okay, yeah,
But-
that's right.
Okay.
Because he was with the gunpowder. and
Yeah.
she hadn't
Right,
seen
yeah, but I feel like... So she didn't know anything about gunpowder.
No.
him. No.
No, she does.
Does she?
Yeah,
have
she
the
knows the
gunpowder?
Americans want the gunpowder.
Lorna does?
Yeah.
Does she know he's making it?
Yeah.
So, okay, I guess my question is, if I'm on James Delaney's team, why would I go around town going, "Where's James? Where's James?" When
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure James can take care of himself. He's that kind of person. So I wouldn't be going around town going, because you're drumming up suspicion.
Yeah.
I feel.
Well, she wasn't going around town. She went to the lawyer and she went to the sister.
And that's it.
Wasn't like she was like going, "Oh, I'm off to see the lawyer. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Now I'm off to see the sister."
I guess.
And I know that they had a scene about how she talked to him about it, and like, you've been gone for 3 days, don't you think people will miss you?
Yeah.
think she has feelings?
Should we
Wouldn't
develop
You think she caught the feels?
I think she definitely has feelings for James. I mean, because otherwise it's kind of like, why would she still...
So, yeah, that's true. I agree.
Well, I mean, unless she's just trying to get her...
Payout, yeah.
Which is what it started as. But, yeah.
I guess. I don't really care for her.
Or she just wants to get the younger version of her.
I mean, he saved her life from prison and raping.
That's true.
I guess.
But she could have saved herself by giving him up.
That's true. She could have.
But she has more to gain from being on his side than being on her own.
Yeah, but that was on her own selfless thing for him. He was like, "Don't tell them anything. I'll come get you."
Right, but on her,
as opposed to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really care for her character. She hasn't really done anything.
I think she has potential.
Oh yeah, like Zilpha's done a whole heck of a
lot.
No,
she hasn't. Well, she finally stepped up and did something this episode.
Well, but then she has to have some sort of play, like coming up. Like
she doesn't have to.
She needs to have some sort of purpose. Otherwise, unless her only purpose was that one moment of showing up and pretending to be...
Zilpha waited 6 episodes to do anything.
That's true.
And then she got like a 30-second fuck for it.
So
I think it's because I think sincerely that we're used to such like powerhouse females in roles that now we're watching a show where these females
you don't have to like take over a company. I'm just saying you could.
No, for them to do any action whatsoever. It is
I don't know.
I agree.
I'm
irritated.
If you're a character in an action series, you need to do something.
Yeah.
But is this
even if it's not like
series?
I would say it is. It has
call it an action.
It has gunpowder and Tom Hardy.
It's at least a drama.
There's action. There's death. There's fighting. There's action.
But it's not like 24.
No, it could be. I just don't like Lorna. I don't care for her. It's episode.
I like her more than Zilpha.
We're 7 episodes in.
I do like her
done
more than
anything.
Zilpha.
Like, I don't. Oh God. Okay, bye.
Sorry, I like her more than Zilpha.
Next bullet point.
Oh shit! Bullet hole.
James and his mother.
Oh, that was creepy.
That whole drowning thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So we get this conversation at the beginning where they're talking about her, and Bryce is like, because I think what it was James was like, he put her in the asylum and that was ridiculous, and Bryce was essentially like, she tried to drown you as a baby.
Right.
She was nutso, and it took 3 people to get you apart, and that's why she went to
right.
She lost it.
Yeah.
And so then that's kind of what we see over and over. We saw him go into the pond. His son saw him there, and he dipped his face in, and then it seemed like he got dragged under by her spirit or apparition. And then the same thing kind of happened while he was having sex with Zilpha, where he was fucking her, but then had images of being drowned.
But the story that Bryce told him was, your mother drowned you. But the other stories, and she went to Bedlam. The other stories we heard were she wouldn't conform to society.
Right.
So she went to Bedlam. So which one?
Not even to society.
That's what James said.
Yeah.
James says she wouldn't conform.
Oh, is that what his dad did? And then
Okay.
Yeah. He said that based on what his letters from his father.
I don't. What
do you mean from his? He never read his letters from his father.
Or he got some of the information.
I think he just made assumptions. Period.
I don't know. I think he got some information from the letters and then just because. No, I don't think it wasn't that he burnt them. He just wasn't keeping them because she didn't say
he was burning everything that he was taking out of that trunk until he found the treaty.
Yeah, but I don't think that you would just burn stuff out of a trunk without reading it.
I think he would.
If it wasn't the treaty, that was the point.
Yeah.
She said, you should read your letters from your father. They're beautiful. And he said, none of it's important. Because he hates his father because he thought his father, of what he did.
Do you feel like she, in real life, tried to drown him?
I have no idea.
You think that's the end of the story? I feel like there's more to the story.
I don't know, unless she was performing some sort of crazy ritual.
Right, I feel
like if he is actually evil and she knew that
he was evil,
and was trying to get rid of it
ahead of time.
Or maybe she did drown him and made him immortal.
Well, because Bryce did say that she drowned him until the bubbles stopped, so he stopped breathing
at some point. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like there's more to the story.
What more?
That's pretty simple.
What more?
Because he clearly has a connection with his mother.
Yeah. Right. So what's the more?
So, and I feel like it's an affectionate connection. It's not like I'm tethered to this dark Well, I guess
I don't think I agree with you at all.
Yeah.
It seems very
dark,
tethered and dark and violent and not affectionate.
Because I mean, you haven't seen him have any other memories of his mother other than her in the water trying to drown him. Yeah,
and it's all choppy and it's up and down in the water.
Well, he wouldn't have any other memories of his mother. He was, the last time we saw her, he was a baby when she tried to drown him.
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, if he only encountered her when he was a baby, he would have no memories. So these are obviously like supernatural visions that he has of her. You know?
Right, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, what if people are getting in his head, and he is playing this false narrative?
I mean, that's possible.
Of his mother drowning. I mean,
yeah.
Who do we trust? Who do we know?
We don't know.
Who knows who knows what?
I think we could trust Bryce to be telling the truth.
But he also said his father was crazy.
Yeah,
his father was crazy. But that wasn't the end of the story. There's more to that. He was crazy because
he had an illness.
He was being poisoned and all this stuff. People were after him.
His father went crazy.
So he wasn't just crazy and paranoid because he just was.
But I think Bryce probably has the least to gain. Like, he kind of doesn't want anyone around.
I don't think he's lying to him. I just think he has part of the story. Right? I feel like we're missing another section of it. Okay. That's all I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Bryce means anything ill toward James.
Oh, no.
I just don't think he has the full story.
Okay.
Like, he didn't have the full story about his dad being crazy.
Yeah. Any questions?
We have 2 minutes left.
Because we just talked about the sex scene. Rachel did make a point earlier, and I went, oh! And y'all were like, shh, don't say anything. She said, I think his mother has possessed her, and he's seeing that.
Zilpha.
Has possessed Zilpha, and he's starting to see that.
Or the fact that Zilpha is just crazy.
And that's why he saw her when he was screwing her.
Or he realized how crazy Zilpha was
Really
and then compared her to his mother and was beginning to see his mother's insanity, the truth of his mother's insanity, and now he's seeing that same insanity.
So you're saying Zilpha's a parallel with his mother.
So I think a lot of the arguments that we're getting into is not knowing how supernatural this show is.
Yeah.
So it's either mental illness.
It's either PTSD or supernatural.
Yeah, so we're not sure. We don't know where it is. So that's why we're if we want it to be supernatural, we think it's going this way versus if we think it's not going to be that way.
Well, he did have astral sex with her, so he has some sort of
there is a supernatural
something
element
there. We don't know what it is.
Powers that be.
We don't know how he got them.
And
maybe she bestowed these powers on him by drowning him. We don't know. We don't know.
I also don't think that it's definitely not a passive thing because he actively speaks this other language and does these things. He has.
There's been an assumption that these powers come from his Native American heritage. But maybe they just come from Africa.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because that's where he, was.
He is the African devil.
After the ship sank.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, that was it.
So then the last thing I wanted to talk about is that, the kind of final sequence of events is the ship explodes, he gets upset, he slits Thumbless's throat,
and
gives him
eviscerates
to
him.
Eviscerates him.
Here's your heart.
Yeah, bury the thing. Then he drinks at the whorehouse, gets really drunk, goes to the docks, wanders through. Winter shows up. He gets super drunk.
Blacks out.
Blacks out. Winter's dead.
Wakes up face down in the mud, and Winter's dead.
And if nothing else, Helga thinks he did it.
Yeah. From the
this is war, and the whole chess piece. That I think that signified that
it could be that someone was watching him and he passed out. They could have grabbed.
So they pinned this on him because what's his face.
Stuart? No.
East Indian Company.
Yeah.
They felt like that Delaney had his whole chess, he had everything aligned, right?
Yeah.
Well, but Delaney, he said that Delaney was a force.
Yes.
So, Delaney's not like the king.
Yeah.
He's not,
right.
He's one of the pieces. So.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is he saw everything. He was able to see the bigger picture and see everything lined up and knew how to take them down. And he knows now how everything is stacked. So he can start taking everything back down and pitting the group against each other. Because he knows that is the only way that's going to destroy this is play them. They can't fight outward. They got to fight
inward. Yeah.
And I would also just like one more thing. Before we realized that Winter was dead, I really liked the moment where James wakes up, face down in the mud, and he just kind of grabs his hat and he's like, "Yeah, all right, again, sure, fine." Like that was definitely the look on his face. Was not like, "Where am I?" He was just like, "Where's my hat? Let me go home."
So if you are watching this still, make sure to subscribe. This is the end of our post-show review of episode 6. Leave your Taboo. Leave your comments in the section below. Everybody, let's raise our glass. Let's end this segment nice and clean, like we always do.
Nice and clean.
Wait.
Oh,
there we go. For Marcus.
Mark.
Subscribe for Mark being late.
Sorry,
There we go.
I was eating tacos.
All right.
There we go.
And
now
our watch has
Good night,
ended.
everybody. We'll see you on Sunday.
Bye.